start the streaming, and then we'll record the official show. Behind the scenes getting ready.
Wait a minute, I should figure out how to do my food processor.
Right, it's what happened. There we go. The recipe or the ingredients list is in the chat. And when you're ready, I can hit the record the cloud button.
Okay, one more second.
I'm going to have my snack beforehand. I always have like a little snack. So then I don't taste as much. Maybe a professional chef trick. I don't know.
Last of the summer tomatoes. Okay, so where's the garlic? All right, I got my toppings and I got my measuring. I got my flour. I got my bowl. Don't need the scissors. All right, I'm ready.
Oh. Okay, I forgot flour, but I can grab that as we're cooking. So, all right, here we go. Well, you're not there. All right, 3, 2, 1, record to well, now you took off. It's just like, Lulu, welcome back and sharing something that sounds kind of fun this time of year. Did you know that it was just leave zucchini on your neighbor's porch day?
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, that's because we have such an overabundance of zucchini. People are trying to get rid of it. So you're getting rid of it in a very fun way. Please share why you picked this recipe and who you are.
Okay, I'm Lulu from St. Louis, Missouri, or Missouri. And I love this recipe because it is delicious. It doesn't matter what you put on top of this. And you can make.
Did you say it's too delicious? You can't make this too often because.
So I have a tendency when I get a really good recipe, I make it too much and then I never want to eat it again. And I sometimes eat it for breakfast and then I crave it. So I have worked very hard not to make this very often, and it keeps it special. It is honestly a little labor intensive and takes a little longer than maybe the hour because there is about 30 to 40 minutes of cooking the crust, and then it should rest for about 10 minutes. But it's one of my favorite recipes out of one of my favorite cookbooks called Moosewood Cookbook. And if you get it, get the newer one. I have both the original and this 15-year anniversary one, and she's made the instructions a little clearer. And there are substitutions, so you'll be happy with this. I cannot speak to any substitutions, whether like, let's say cauliflower instead of the zucchini. Give it a try, write it in your little ingredients list that it worked or didn't work. I would think broccoli would work. I would think zucchini's a little wet, so I would think this would be a kind of an odd one for this recipe. And just to let you know, one of the steps we're going to do is shred the zucchini, salt it lightly, and let it rest for about 15 minutes, and then we'll squeeze out the moisture before we throw it into the dough. And I say dough loosely because it's not really a dough. It's more like a batter that gets laid thinly. So zucchini crusted pizza, the ingredients list is olive oil and flour, because this is a very important step. The sheet that you use to bake this on, and I have not done it yet in a pie tin, which I'm sure it would work. It's calling for this amount of food, about a 10-inch pie pan. I just use a cookie sheet, I didn't grab that.
So you end up with a square pie pizza. So
what I'll use.
It's a
Jelly roll.
standard baking sheet. Yeah, standard baking sheet.
Yeah, I call this my jelly roll. You really want to do a nice coating. I don't have shortening. I'm just going to use olive oil and then flour it and knock it all off. Really important step. The first time I made it, I didn't do it and it stuck and it was sad. It was still delicious, but like I was scraping it off and eating it, and it was a real
Hey,
challenge.
Lulu, if it takes 15 minutes for the zucchini to set, let's do that and then do all this explanation.
All right, that's fine. So let me take
Yep.
you to my food processor. There's my food processor.
My question is, do you salt it like you would with eggplant?
Not as much. I do eggplant more and I have a tendency to rinse it. This is just a light sprinkling, so it doesn't come out too salty. Because
Yeah.
you're putting parm in it. And you guys all know I'm a saltaholic, but I don't do quite as much salt if there's Parmesan cheese and other salty things, because the topping I'm using is Kalamata. So it calls for 2 7-inch, and I'm assuming these are about that. Yep. Mine are 2 7-inch. Now you could do 3 if you want more. Let me dry these off. I got already moisture on them.
I have a spiralizer that I have only used maybe one time, and I know you can use those with zucchinis. But
yeah, you can make that.
You're gonna grate it up. I get it. Yeah.
You can make zucchini spaghetti. Just use it in place of. So I'm just gonna slice off the.
Now, does it matter how tender, or I almost bought? They have ones that are 2 foot long.
Do they get pithy if they're really too big?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna slice mine in half. And can you see?
My home food processor doesn't have a grate function, so I get to use the grater. Now I want to ask people honestly, does anybody ever use this side, or I don't know, any of the other sides?
My
I tend
answer
to
to that,
95% of the time just use it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I have a box grater like the one that Lulu was showing, but it's a microplane, so it does have a side you can use to grate cheese.
Yeah, so it's got a small side on this side, it's got a microplane on this side, and then it's got like a mandolin on this side.
Well, it may or may not be a microplane. Microplane is a special brand of a very, very sharp edge.
Yeah, so this is my microplane like this.
There you go. That's my microplane.
So this side is a microplane.
It may or may not be.
Okay, I don't know. Seems to be similar holes, but okay. So, Lulu, I don't know if you heard me.
Yeah.
Can you use? Does it matter how big of a zucchini? It doesn't matter, just as long as you can grate it, correct?
Yeah, I don't think it matters. And one of the things I've learned about cooking, it's important to know what you do and then decide, do I want to do this in the future? That's the part of cooking that's a thrill. Is a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I always said that a recipe is inspiration for the artist.
Well, you and I have different takes on that. If an artist tells me to do it a different way, I'll try it their way, and then I'll make adjustments. Because if they say there's a reason why to do it that way.
Right.
So I'm putting this in a colander. I think ultimately you want anywhere from 2 to 3.5 cups.
You
once
said in a colander?
I'm putting mine in a colander and then I'll drop this into the sink.
To drain the water. You
Now,
just
another
squeeze the
thing
water out.
I highly recommend to everybody is don't wait till the end of your cooking to clean these things. This rinses right out. And that way I don't have to clean it massively later on when it's all dried on. So that's a good point to make for new cooks, you know, folks who don't cook very often. Make cleanup easy.
All right, let me just try it right into the colander instead of.
All right. So I'm just taking maybe about not even a half, and I don't know. I'm just gonna sprinkle it just on.
I thought you were being accurate with this recipe. Now you're saying about.
Well, the salt, just like
Caught you. You're always yelling at us for not being accurate in the recipes.
I don't yell. So lightly salted, and I'm gonna set this down in the kitchen sink. And I guess you can collect the water and throw it in your soup if you want to, because it is basically zucchini juice.
So does it really just start dripping out the bottom? You don't have
Yes.
to squeeze it or anything?
Yes, and when I'll set the timer for 15 minutes so we don't
Just
go.
in salting it?
I just lightly salted it, tossed it a little bit. Okay, and I guess what we can do is go on and in a nice bowl, start assembling what goes into making the crust. And then
And
we'll
you do have to make sure your cheese is grated. Like I always never ever buy grated Parmesan. I just like I don't know what it is, but when it's freshly grated, it just tastes better.
Yeah.
I also think they put a lot of fillers in the grated stuff to make it so it doesn't stick together.
Right.
Right.
Well, they put a yeah, what's it called? Kind of an anti-caking agent in the
The only way you know that you have Parmigiano Reggiano, the real thing, is when you buy it in a not grated. When it's grated, you don't know where it's coming from.
Oh, true. All right.
Yeah, they usually have cellulose, which is basically powdered newspaper or wood.
Well, anybody can make Parmesan that makes cheese, but not anybody can make Parmigiano Reggiano, which is a registered name, can only be made in certain places. And that's why
Do you truly think it makes that much of a difference?
I do, yeah.
All righty, so don't forget to preheat your oven to 400, so it's a pretty hot oven. I'm going to go ahead and do the oiling. Let's.
I might be tempted to line that with foil.
So it'll stick to foil just as easily. Maybe parchment paper would work better, but I've done the foil, and cheese does not come off easily on foil.
I see, okay.
I know this from personal experience.
Yeah, I get it.
Because
there you go, my grater. Didn't take that long to do those zucchinis with the hand grater.
No, and also knock out your mozzarella and your parm.
Except where's the salt?
Yeah, and I just read an article by a food columnist who was singing the praises of, well, frozen vegetables, but he was singing the phrases of using cauliflower, which is very popular these days, in the same way you're doing this. I mean, he was just basically saying, well, cauliflower, you can chop it up and put a sauce, and, you know, it's kind of the same idea, actually.
Probably could do anything, but Mom always said, if it didn't have green in it, it didn't have nutrition.
Well, it turns out with cauliflower, that's not exactly true.
It's just an albino.
Well, I mean, I think isn't it in the cruciferous family? So I think it has nutritional, it does have nutrition, even though it's not green.
I was just
Okay,
reading
so I'm gonna
about this. Cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, they are the carnivorous vegetables, and they have antioxidants in them. That's why they're so good
Yeah.
for you. So this is oiled pretty lightly, but very
Yeah.
well. Now, my pizza won't be this big. I go for a thickness, and so it gets spread.
Yeah. You can make the same argument against zucchini. It's not really green. It's just got a green skin, but the
Right.
rest of it's not green. So I don't know how they compare.
All right, I'm a little behind. Let's see. Your oil in the pan.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this out of the way. It's kind of a messy deal.
Oil and flour.
Yeah, I'm using olive oil. I've never used olive oil before. I usually use, like a Crisco shortening for this process, like I would for a cake mix. But I'm trying something new. Okay, I need to go over to the sink. It's getting messy.
Yeah, olive oil doesn't tend to really like high temperatures.
It's not as bad as people make it out to be, actually.
I agree.
I mean, the Italians will fry a steak in olive oil and they don't seem to have problems with it.
Well, and think about butter. People use butter, and that really doesn't take high heat at all either.
Exactly.
It burns.
Yeah, I think that smoky thing is kind of a little bit of a anti-olive oil pitch, in my opinion.
What I think it is the lighter the olive oil, the better, because there's less material in it to smoke, right? It's just pure
Well,
oil.
you can buy highly refined olive oil if you're going to do a lot of really high temperature stuff. You can buy it that's more refined, and it's better for high temperatures. But well, I don't fry very much, so for me, it's not an issue.
What you're talking about is the difference between extra virgin and then just straight up olive oil. Straight up
No,
olive.
there's a different. In addition to that, it can be even more refined, where if for one reason or another it can tolerate higher temperatures. I don't use it, but you can find it.
I'm grating my Parmesan, so I'll be caught up.
All right. So talking about grating the Parmesan, I was going to share with our cooking audience my box grater. It has the fine grate, the thicker grate. This I never ever have ever used. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. And then I never use a slicer.
Which one? Which side do you never use? Okay, that's what I just used to grate the cheese.
That's the grater side. Okay, I'm going to share screen here, and I'm going to show you what you really need if you're going to have a box grater. Can you see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
It says microplane. You see how it's cut out there? It's not punched out. It's very, very sharp.
Like half moon.
It's like the microplane that you hold in your hand, the little skinny one. But all the surfaces here are microplane, very sharp. You have to be very careful you don't cut yourself, but they did. And this isn't a box grater. Actually, I have a picture somewhere of the other side.
Now, the difference between the microplane and let's say the small grating on this side is just size. Microplane is a little finer. Mine comes out to be, fine enough. And
well,
let me,
the one I showed you is, well, look, hold on a second here.
All right, so I got my zucchini, my cheese grated. Now what's next? I need to oil the pan.
Let me talk about my grater for 1 second. What I love about this is it has a container with measurer.
Yeah, that's very cool. I like that.
Now, one of the problems I will share with you is it's still a little messy. So I have a tendency to either do it on a plate or on the cutting board. And I'm just going to do a few slices to just show you how beautiful.
I'm super lazy. I got olive oil in a spray can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my microplane box cutter actually has kind of little legs on it at the bottom, so it doesn't sit. So when you're grating, it doesn't build back up into the box. That's similar to what you're doing with yours.
yeah, but mine has a bunch on the outside down here from just parm
Yeah,
being.
sure, I understand. Yeah, that happens.
And
Yeah,
I hate to waste anything. So
exactly.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
let's see.
throw this back in the fridge.
Let's see. We said 400, right? I just realized I needed to preheat my oven.
Yeah. Yes, 400.
It's so funny how much time and energy I spent trying to figure out what toppings. I had all these peppers and I started cooking them, but now I need to keep cooking them. Tomatoes and different peppers for my topping.
So into the bowl that we're gonna make the crust, I'm putting a half a cup of the parm. And put the rest of my parm away.
Oh, the bowl I was doing it, I had it underneath my zucchini, so I have to switch bowls.
So look
But
how cool is this?
look how much water's come out so far. It's like about a half a cup.
Yep. You might want to save that and throw it in soup, knowing you. All
Well,
right. I cheated and I have prepackaged mozzarella, shredded mozzarella. Let's see. There is probably an anti-caking.
let's see.
Yep. There is some sort of,
Ingredient says,
it has potato starch, which is and tapioca starch. For this purpose is not going to cause the what do you call it, the crust any harm. So a half a cup of the mozzarella. And now I am going to do something a little different. I am going to save the, I'm going to do something a little different because it said that you don't necessarily need to use the yolk. Some people are either cutting out yolks, but I'm going to use them for a different recipe. I'm not sure what.
look at these. I got duck eggs at the farmer's market.
Oh, cool.
I've been getting those for the last few weeks. So what do we have to do? 2 eggs?
2 eggs.
Separating the yolk.
You don't have to. You
don't have to.
No, but I'm thinking I really want to, make something with the yolk.
I got one of those little plastic gadgets that separates the yolk. You just crack it in the little thing and it drips through.
I don't have
Well, I've heard if you rip it through your beater that it separates it too.
Well, it might break the yolk, but it may or may not. I don't know.
Probably it matters what size the yolk is.
I think
But yeah,
that
see?
the egg white is basically.
Oh, whoops.
But yeah, see, like you can go like that and then pull it out.
Wow, that is cool. I've never seen that one before. That's a cool trick.
Are you going to save your yolk for something?
No, I just got a dozen eggs, so. Besides, these are these duck eggs. I want to put all of it in. So we need a half a cup mozzarella and a half a cup Parmesan. I probably didn't need to grate so much Parmesan.
No.
You can use it to serve it. When you serve it, you can put more fresh Parmesan on.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my timer just went off for, I'm going to squeeze out. Let me take you over.
Okay, I need to cut some more tomatoes to my sauce.
So let me show you. Here's, and mine, I'm not saving, but I just will take it and squeeze it. And it is, I don't know if you could see, but it is dripping.
Oh, wow, look at all that.
Guess I could turn on the light so you guys can see. And I've never done this step before, and it was fine. It's kind of, remember when I made potato pancakes and the moisture would just come. So what I'm going to do is bring my bowl over here. And as I squeeze what I think is enough, I'm just going to throw it in my bowl.
Did you put the eggs in already, or that's after?
I haven't put it in yet, but just because I was separating them and didn't dump it in.
Look at all that moisture. Oh my goodness.
Now, like I said, it's not a necessary step, but it might help with the crispness of it. Once again, colanders are really easy to clean. Worth doing it before your zucchini dries on it. Just give it a little inspection to make sure there's no little zucchini cling on. And in my case, you can see where my colander lives. I even put it up wet. Ta-da!
I have a plastic one I really like.
All right, so let me plug you guys in just so I don't run out of juice. So far, we have half a cup of mozzarella, a half a cup of zucchini. I'm putting in my 2 egg whites or 2 eggs. I'm going to give it.
That's kind of like a binder.
Right.
Yes.
After I squeeze the water out, look how much water there is.
Yeah, you got quite a bit.
Throw that in the freezer with your vegetable scraps.
There you
Now I'm
go.
going to use the leftover zucchini and I'm going to just put it back together and make a soup.
Nice. So I'm just giving it a quick mix because we got other things that are going in there. I don't know.
So far we've got Parmesan, mozzarella, zucchini, and eggs, right?
Correct. Now is the time where you can put any kind of flavoring you like. I'm going to run out and grab.
Not enough? Oh, did you add flour to it?
Oh, I did not. So now is when you want to add your 1/4 cup of flour. I find that keeping just a little thing of flour helps me not have to drag out that massive thing of what do you call it? You know,
The bag. That's a good idea. Yeah.
And
Gluten-free, so I was going to try just a little bit of tapioca flour as a binder.
yeah, that's good.
But with tapioca, you have to be very careful, just not very much.
Are you going to use less than what the recipe calls for?
Yes, because it's only a 1/4 cup with regular flour.
Like a 1/4 cup. Yeah.
That's a 1/4 cup is what she's using with flour. So
Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm doubling it, so I put half as much.
oh, okay. I didn't. Okay.
Flour.
Take that to my garden while I still can.
Wow, this is looking yummy already. Wow.
I'm just going to grab a
Look at
few.
that basil. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
What a crop.
And I have to
You could make pesto
get that and blend it with some olive oil or even water and put it in ice cubes and freeze them.
or make pesto.
I make pesto every year.
Yeah.
This year I let it go to seed and I'm just enjoying it.
So we're going to add some fresh
I'm adding
basil,
basil if you have it.
rosemary.
The other thing you could put in is any kind of herb that you like, such as dried basil or, let's see, marjoram or rosemary. But I'm just adding a little bit of fresh basil. And I might add a little bit of dry basil just to give it.
All right.
Your oven should be already heated. Your pan is
Preheating.
already floured, oiled and floured.
I'm starting my sauce here. I got tomatoes and
If you're making a smaller amount, could you do it in like a Pyrex baking dish?
Yeah, I would think.
Yeah.
if it's probably if it's the ones that are high on the sides, it won't get as crispy though. Like a casserole dish.
Well, that's a good
And I
point.
need to
That's a
tell you
good point.
guys,
Yeah.
I need to tell you guys, there's a point after halfway through, we're gonna add a little more olive oil to the top of it. Oh wait, there's olive oil that goes actually in this. Here we go. Before we pour the.
Oh yeah, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. How do we miss that?
Don't use 2 tablespoons. Just use 1 tablespoon in the right now.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. And 1 tablespoon of olive oil. And it doesn't call for it, but I'm a big proponent of black pepper. It's kind of just a habit.
Do you see that all out? Like I tilt the bowl and there's like moisture is collecting down here.
That still may be that may be egg though too. So don't let that worry you.
Just mix it
I don't
back.
have to add flour to get rid of the moisture, you don't think?
Just mix it all back
No,
in.
because it might be egg. It might be the egg and not so much. I wish I had an aerial view that I could show you of my mixing. So I'm working the, what you call it in the basil, the fresh basil. And just for good measure, I'm gonna add just a sprinkle of more of dry basil.
I had a neighbor who just gave me a jar, whatever you call it. It's pepper, it's dried, so it's pepper, garlic, lemon.
Oh, nice.
No salt, and boy, is that good. It goes on everything.
Okay,
Lulu, I want to commend you how many times you said, so far it's, if I'm counting right, 4 times, just add a little bit. Because, you know, you like to try to be precise on your recipes, but you said that with salt, and then you said that with basil, and you're just like, I feel like it needs just a little more. So here's my heart feeling.
So I would say start out with a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon when I say that personally. All
I
right.
flinched a little bit when I saw Orr with the salt.
Yeah, he doesn't do salt too much. All right. So now this is the part that's a little tricky. I don't like smearing it around too much because I don't want to move the nice coating. And mine's not going to cover it completely. So I kind of do it by dollops and spread it out. And I would say try to get as thin as a 1/4 of an inch.
Wow, this looks so good.
And I don't worry about making the edges look nice as far as like I'm making a perfectly shaped, what do you call it, pizza crust.
I found out I'm using a fork to take it out, and it's definitely leaving a lot of moisture behind by doing that.
That's a
But
good point.
I don't think you're gonna have any heartburn if you use some of that moisture, because like I said, it's egg. That's where some of your moisture's coming in.
Yeah, that thin, I would think the moisture will get driven out in the oven.
Yeah, it's gonna dry.
It's not like it's deep
So you think
dish or something.
all this, there's probably a good
Yeah,
quarter cup of moisture there. I
I
don't
think
know.
that fork's a good idea. Yeah.
Like, and then I won't let that waste, but I won't use it in here because it'll extend the cooking time, right?
I don't know, like Fred said, it is spread pretty thin, so some of that moisture is just gonna evaporate out. And if you care how it looks, you could spend more or less time, making this look like a pizza.
I wonder what would happen if you, I mean, this reminds me of like cabbage. I was wondering what would happen if you did this with cabbage.
Why not?
I can't imagine anything with browned cheese. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine anything with eggs and cheese that wouldn't be.
Now, this is
It's like,
just a
what do you have
carrot.
the most
The
abundance of?
zucchini's just a carrier for all these flavors.
Well,
It's
and
like, what do you have a lot of?
it's
Yeah.
also very eye appealing. I have to admit this green. And then if you use, let's say, red peppers and red tomatoes, you can have kind of a Christmas themed pizza
Oh, I see.
if you want.
So it's like, is it like a pizza or do you call it a pizza?
I call it a pizza.
I see. Okay. Yeah, you could put anchovies on there.
So at this point, you can cook it up, and then keep it for a few days, and then put the toppings on it and warm it back up with the melt the
Look at
top.
how much water there was.
Wow.
Now that's
Yeah.
It's
surprising.
like,
And don't worry if it's thicker. And don't worry if it's thicker in some spots than others.
So do you cut up the leftover because you're not going to put, or are you putting this whole thing in the fridge after if you don't eat it?
Yeah, I would. I've been thinking about you have to put it in the fridge or the freezer, I would think, if you have the room.
I
so
mean,
I'm
is
making
it,
like a sauce to go on top. I think I'll just add the zucchini to it and make it into more of a, once I put this on there, it's
So
like,
I mean, does it have enough, structure to it where you could kind of cut it and wrap it up in foil or in,
in sections that you want to eat and then add your
yeah,
topping.
if I don't
Yeah.
want to put that thing in my refrigerator.
Yeah, you can cut it into serving
Yeah.
sizes.
Yeah.
Now, I just had to tell you about the topping. I never use a liquid topping. I use fresh, thinly sliced tomatoes for my tomato sauce, and I just cut them fresh and put them on their skin and seeds and all.
You put the tomatoes on when you're using leftovers and ready just to, do you put tomatoes on the first go or not?
No, there's no toppings on this.
Okay, so you do that later when you reheat it to eat it, something like that?
I do it. Well, so what's going to happen? This is going to cook for 30 minutes and we're going to prep all our toppings. And halfway through, we're going to put a thin layer of olive oil and turn the pan. Then when
Okay,
it comes out, we're going to lift it all the way around and let it rest for about 10 minutes as we put the toppings on and throw it in for another.
so you're not gonna add more Parmesan to top it? You're just whatever's in there?
Whatever cheese you want on top. Today I'm doing something different. I'm doing more a Greek thing. I'm doing Kalamata, artichoke hearts, and tomato and garlic.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna go ahead and
but you're not putting a sprinkling of Parmesan cheese before you put that in the oven.
nothing is going on it now. So I put it in. I'm gonna put it.
so we're baking the crust now.
And it's got Parmesan in it, we know that, I mean.
So I'm gonna put my timer on for 30 minutes. So I normally would put extra parm and mozzarella on the top, those
Uh-huh.
cheese as toppings. Like I said, today I'm just gonna put feta. Just
Okay, sure.
and not every bite has to have cheese. It's
Right.
whatever you like.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness, eating this pizza crust just by itself is
Well,
the
what I've done before is, as a matter of fact, this is making me want pizza. I've got these cauliflower crust pizzas in my freezer, and they've got some vegetables on them, but it's kind of minimum, and it has cheese. But I put Kalamata olives, chop those up. I put what else did I put on there? I put anchovies,
Ooh.
whole anchovies, and you can put I put a whole bunch of stuff in there before I put it in the oven to doctor it up, because the way it comes from the stores, it's real minimalist.
Yeah, yeah. Ever since I was a kid, when my mother would make she would make frozen pizza, she always doctored it up
Yeah,
with added cheese or sauce or
right.
something that she liked. And she always
So I got all these mushrooms for the farmer's market, and I usually do this whenever I get fresh mushrooms. I'll fry them with some onions, and then they stay good all week.
Yeah, I
So I could
saute
put it
them,
on, in
otherwise
this
they would
case,
spoil. Yeah.
on top of this pizza, or so first I'll get the onions.
And you've got some
Now
red
the hardest
peppers
thing
there
actually for
too.
me on this pizza,
Are those jalapeno peppers?
no, these are just sweet peppers.
Oh, they're sweet. Okay.
just
So the
because I
hardest thing for
have
me
them.
actually was trying to figure out what toppings to put on the pizza.
And to mine, I'm gonna saute a little bit of dead mushrooms. I'm just gonna saute them lightly and then I'll throw them on top. So I'm gonna saute these quickly, and
Because those are getting near their end of life.
these are perfect for actually tomato soup, or not tomato soup, mushroom soup, because their flavor gets concentrated. These yucky stems I'll put in the freezer to go in my beef,
Uh-huh.
my chicken, vegetable broth stock that I make.
I'm gonna have my pizza tonight after this. I'm in the pizza mode now.
So this is my
Oh,
frozen.
or look at Lulu's bag of goodies for the freezer.
There you go.
Wow. Look
So
at that.
it's tomatoes that almost died.
You're gonna have some great soup.
So I've got chestnut mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms here.
Nice.
And once it gets full, I just put it in a pot, cover it with water, and cook it for about a half an hour and call it
I would
good.
use chicken bone broth.
Well, what's nice about this is it's vegan for those who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 3 bags. I have one for vegetables, one chicken, and one red meat.
Oh my goodness. I have to share this with you guys. I was at my daughter and son-in-law's house, and they get the rotisserie chicken from Costco, and they don't bone their chicken very well, so there's a lot of meat left on it, and he throws them in the freezer. He has a big, huge stock pot. We put 5 carcasses in there of
Yeah,
just chicken.
that's great, because like you say, you have all that marrow coming out of the chicken carcass.
Not just marrow. He left quite a bit of meat on.
Oh,
So
and it's all spiced up, so in
Yeah.
advance.
So
Yeah.
I ended up, we cooked it, we strained it. I took all the carcass bones home and stripped it all of everything, the sinew, everything, and I chopped it up fine. And I have I put it in Ziplocs in a thin layer, and I break off pieces and feed my stray cat outside with the leftover chicken. I don't give them bones because I don't want to hurt them. I'm sure.
Yeah, you don't want to give chicken bones to animals.
Yeah, but they're eating, bones when they're eating the mice and the birds and stuff. All right, so I'm going to work on my toppings. One of my favorites, but you got to
So I was really lazy. I was like, oh, what I'll do is just get a jar of sun-dried tomatoes and a jar of pitted olive mix and just put
Yeah.
that on there.
I
But
have
then-
sun-dried tomatoes. That sun-dried tomatoes are very good in it.
Yeah.
See, where's
Yeah, I
my,
have pitted Kalamata olives I just chop up.
Otherwise, in this back pot, I've got all these sweet peppers that were on sale at the farmer's market, an onion, and a couple tomatoes, and then I'm just going to put all the zucchini leftover stuff in there.
Nice.
But we're not going to waste that.
Yeah, and you could reduce the liquid out of that if you wanted it not too liquidy.
I'm all about not throwing anything away.
Wow, this is making me hungry.
it's smelling really good. Well, maybe it's because I'm cleaning up the garlic. Now, the one thing you want to be careful with garlic is you don't want it to burn. And in such a hot oven, sometimes it starts to brown. So I call it good when the garlic's done. I have
think
one of the roller things that I could pop this in and get these skins
I
off.
think we talked about it once before that I heard in Italy quite often in certain dishes, the Italians just throw the whole clove in there, skin and all. They just don't chop, they don't do anything to it. Just throw it in the pot.
Yeah,
I
my
like
ex-boyfriend does
using these
that.
elephant garlic, which aren't really garlic. You know, because I mean, look at this. Like,
And they're milder than garlic, a little milder, I understand.
through normally, I have a local farmer who has basically been growing it for 20 years. He's an organic farmer, and he's cross-pollinated them
Oh,
over the years that they're almost as good as,
cool.
you know, they're. All right,
It's a
let's turn this
hybrid.
down a little bit.
A hybrid, yeah.
Yeah. The main thing I like about it is, you know, it's just a lot less work.
Sure.
Now, one thing I recently had at one of the local wineries is they had an Italian sausage made out of chicken. And so I was going around to the stores because I was like, I really want that on my pizza. I did find an Italian sausage, but it's like a breakfast sausage instead of like a bratwurst. I think that's what I'm going to put on mine.
What's it say for the spice in it on the ingredients?
Sage.
Sage. Oh, okay.
Yeah, chicken and sage are good.
So, but all right.
So I really enjoy the fresh garlic. Some people, you don't like garlic, don't use it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've seen chefs, which what Ora's doing is you smash the garlic with the back of, after it's peeled and then chop it. It's easier to chop.
So I'm having slices.
Trying to make-
No, I know, yeah, that's an
I
option.
like getting a
You
big,
like pieces of garlic, yeah, I get it.
well, and it does brown. It turns this really delicious brownness. And I get kind
So
of,
what I've been doing with when I do my mushroom onion mix, I've been just getting without even crushing it, I've been putting the whole thing in the oil and then just turning it like twice.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
kind of
putting
like
my
what we're
onions and
talking
mushrooms.
about the Italians doing, you know. It's
Yeah.
it's big enough
So
that
it's
you
just
can
like-
take it out later if you want to.
It almost tastes like, have you ever had the oven roasted garlic where they do the
Right.
whole thing
Yeah,
in
it's
the oven?
the sugar makes it towards sweet when they're baked.
Oh, hi. But there's my mushrooms,
Wow.
you know, just Remember how big they were?
Yeah.
But it's like quickly reduce it down and basically see it. The idea is to try to seal the moisture in without cooking it down too much.
Well, I get a
If you
whole
cooked it
pound
down,
of
well,
mushrooms and then I have a big saute pan and I'll saute the whole pound and then I put them in a container and keep them in the fridge.
yeah, that's what I do.
Because if I don't, they just go bad. Yeah.
Today, I'll probably use that on the pizza, though, the whole thing, or most of it. I'm going to saute these sausages. A couple of them. But this is coming out nice. The zucchini water.
Yeah, Lulu's really got it. Her knife is really sharp. I have sharp knives, but I have a serrated knife I use for tomatoes.
Dull knives will hurt you.
No, but I have really sharp knives. I'm just in the habit of using the serrated one for tomatoes.
I've kind of gotten the habit for a lot of stuff of using scissors.
Yeah? Yeah, you can get they call them poultry
I got pepper like
shears.
this and just chop it right into the pot.
Yeah. Well, they sell what they call poultry shears for the kitchen.
Yep.
I don't know the difference between that and regular scissors, but
Well, the poultry shears are, first of all stainless steel and then super sharp.
yeah, I have scissors. They're stainless steel or titanium or something like that.
So what are you putting on your pizza, Lulu?
Well,
So
I'm chopping it up right now.
everything that I like to eat. So I thought I was going to go more Greek, but I'm going with just everything. I have a yellow pepper. I have fresh sliced tomatoes. I have a red onion just because it was started. I don't know if that's the exact flavor I want, but I'm going.
You could rough chop some capers if you wanted to.
Yeah, I am doing some Kalamata. Now, I'm doing my Kalamata sparingly because they are salty.
They
and
are
they
salty.
have a very distinct flavor that I don't necessarily want in every single bite, but the pop of a Kalamata is kind of nice with the feta.
Yeah, I got this Italian pitted olive mix. And it's got like 3, maybe 4 different kinds of olives and then a little bit of sweet pepper in it. Let's see.
Hey, or did you set the timer for your pizza?
I did, yeah. Let's see what it says left.
Because halfway we have to
It says 7 minutes left on mine.
for 30 minutes? You put it on for 30?
Lulu says you got to turn the pan.
Yeah, take it out, turn the pan, and brush the last tablespoon of olive oil over the top of it.
Okay.
I have 2 more minutes before my 15 minutes is up. I probably won't use all these, but I'm just doing it because they're here.
Maybe I'll have pizza for lunch. I don't know if I can wait till dinner.
That's good.
All right, here we go.
Let's see.
Trying to get it out of there. It
Oh, wait a
still
minute.
looks pretty liquid.
No, are you on 400 for sure? It can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, leave it
I mean,
in.
it doesn't wobble.
No, leave it in for another 10 minutes.
I had it on the center shelf. I'm going to move it up to the top shelf.
No, it says center shelf, so
You want it to be
Okay,
brown? You want the top to brown?
it will, but I would just give it another 5-10 minutes and then put oil over it. So here's let me show you my jar. I just have quartered artichoke hearts. I drained them and I actually put them on a towel to,
Yes, I almost bought artichoke hearts, but they were like $6 for the can. I was like, nah,
Yeah,
so
that's
I
cool.
find
I don't
these
like them that much.
kind of woody. So I even make them a little bit narrower just so I'm not getting a big, huge mouthful of that woody. And the jar is more than what I'm going to use. I don't know if you could see what I'm doing. I'm blocking my view.
I think I'm going to save some of these mushrooms. I really love them. I like to use them sparingly. Like half of them in this.
I think I'm going to be decadent and not use, I have so much, I won't use the whole jar, but what I'll do is get rid of the leafy part and just steal the hearts.
Trying to think, probably the only thing I really like artichoke hearts is in like a dip.
They're good with anything if you like them. I mean, that's with anything. Okay, that's done. All right, I'm at 13 minutes. I'm going to take you guys over to my stovetop. Uh-oh, I might have burnt my mushroom. Okay, here we go. Getting warm in the kitchen.
Cooking like it's hot.
All right, now can you see how around the edge where it's a little thinner, mine got
Around the edges, yeah.
and I'm not going to worry about that.
Well, that's probably just your secret that it's done, maybe.
I might have made it a little too thin there. All right.
Yeah, it's just brown. It's not burned or anything.
Not yet, it will be. So I'm just taking a little bit of just slapping a little bit of olive oil on top. And then I'm going to throw it back in for the rest of the time. Okay, it came in this way, so I'm going to turn it. All righty. Putting. All right.
Or is using his scissors on the breakfast sausage.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just
Cool.
making
All
them
right.
little bits.
Yeah.
I have 11
This is
minutes.
actually already pre-cooked. Technically, I don't, I could have just cut them up like this
Yeah.
and put them on the top of the pizza. But I like them a little browned.
You gonna saute them?
Yep, I just did.
Oh, that's right. You had them in the pan already.
Probably could have chopped them up first and then sauteed them.
All right, so turn off my stove and let's see how these turned out. Now, I didn't do anything to them other than chop them up and saute them.
It's your sauteed mushrooms?
Yeah, and one of the things I recommend, if you're making a salad or anything that you can eat raw, taste it before you put it in there. So like I had never used this kind of artichoke heart, so I'm gonna taste it. If it doesn't taste good now, I'm not putting it on my pizza and ruining the whole pizza. So
Good point. It's okay.
testing the mushroom. That's nice. Nicer than I thought. I'm gonna just make them kind of a little more minced almost. I'm not gonna do the garlic. I know my garlic's good. I'll test the tomato.
You
Oh my
almost
gosh.
have a charcuterie plate. I can't say it.
It's a, what do you call it? Deconstructed salad. My what is this? My yellow bell pepper was getting a little wimpy,
Yeah,
but it's gonna get cooked. It's okay.
yeah.
Tastes fine. I'm not gonna try the onion
You
because
ever make, you ever make a mushroom pate where you just like blend it and make like a,
I have. It's delicious. Oh, from this book, the Moosewood Cookbook, I have a knockoff on what do you call that? Where they use liver, goose liver for
yeah,
all the
pate?
Goose
they
liver pate.
they have a substitute with no liver, and it's made with uh walnuts and maybe mushrooms. I can't remember, but it is so good. And it's just something I like recipes that can sit out at room temperature and you're not going to kill anybody.
Yeah, that's the advantage of not having meat in them
Yeah, or mayonnaise.
or mayonnaise. Yeah.
So I have sun-dried tomatoes.
Me too.
Oh, I could have used my black garlic. This is olive oil infused with garlic that was slow cooked, and there's pieces of garlic in there. I'll have to remember next time to use this. I thought I
Now,
had,
have you ever made the zucchini bread and not put topping on it, just ate it as like a bread?
I've never made zucchini bread
No,
ever,
what we just, not zucchini bread, but what we just made.
and not put any
You
topping
know,
on it.
correct.
Uh,
Just make it like a, you know, a
it-
slice of bread that you could eat with something.
yeah. I haven't, but you could. Okay,
I mean,
mine
it's
shows.
zucchini, eggs, and cheese.
Yeah, if you weren't in the mood to make all the toppings, you could just have some of it by itself, like now.
So, or you want to
So
check. uh,
take mine out.
And I think I might call mine good for now, only because I don't want to burn it. Let me take a
There you
look.
go. What do you think?
Is it brown around the edge?
Has it gotten, and how thick is it, or did you do, how thick is it? Like, take a fork and just dip it in and let me see how deep it goes and measure it.
I mean,
It's not too thick.
Is it,
it's as thin as I could. But,
yeah, because, so you might have want to
and
break,
the zucchini's probably cooked down like half. I feel like it's cooked down,
And it's not
but
sticking
it's
to
not
your
crispy on
fork,
the
so it's
top.
kind of like testing a cake when it's
yes and
Right.
no.
breaded.
It should be
But
thinner,
it's
and
not crisp. It's crispy around the edge, but not on the top.
top's going to be the last
But,
thing. I would say let yours go for another 15 minutes or so because you really want the
yeah,
dough to cook.
I
But
keep my
mine
eye
were
on it
really
though, because
moist.
you don't want it to scorch.
and you do have
Well,
enough.
anytime I bake, I set an alarm because I will forget if I'm not looking at it.
Yeah.
Is your
Even if it's like, oh, it's only going to be 3 minutes, I'll remember. Nope.
You won't
So,
though. Yeah, you're right.
is your oven at 400?
let's see. Yep.
Okay.
Do you have an oven thermometer?
Not here. I definitely have them at the commercial.
Because a lot of ovens are not accurate.
Mine isn't. Oh, let me see.
Honestly, I haven't baked in here in ages. So like, I didn't have my measuring cups. I think I took them over to the commercial
It's
kitchen.
more critical for baking rather than other stuff, probably. The
Right.
ovens, yeah.
Since I got this induction top, I've almost never used the gas below it.
I know, me
So
either.
like
Yeah.
right back here, see there's the turn the gas on.
Yeah.
And so when I'm not using it, I actually turn the gas off.
Well, I have electric
And so
stove top, and I haven't used another burner since I got my induction burner. I haven't used another burner.
I really like the preciseness and how fast it
Me too.
does.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Now let me show you
That's
this.
Yeah.
Mine's plenty done. I had another 5 minutes.
Looks great.
Timer cancel. I'm going to lower the temperature a little bit. I'm going to turn mine to 375 when I do the topping. Now this step is kind of important to get it up and not sticking.
Oh, dude.
So you're releasing it from the pan.
Yeah, another important step. Another reason why it's nice not to go to the very edge in my case.
Good point.
And I next time what I'm going to do is make it thicker instead of tapering, but I'm learning.
I mean, you made it a bunch of times, so it's just each time that you improve it a little bit.
Yeah, it's never quite stuck like this in a long time. But I usually take a little bit more
Hey,
time.
remember, this is the first time you used olive oil, so maybe
I don't like olive oil so much.
I'd be tempted to put parchment paper under it.
I'm tempted for the parchment paper too. So it's really moist underneath.
still not crisp.
It doesn't really get crisp underneath. It never has. I'm not going to worry about the very center. Let's hope it doesn't stick. Can you see how it's a little like still
Yeah.
moist?
Yeah.
So
We're going to need more.
But you're going to put it back
right?
in with topping, so it's going to cook more.
Yeah. But I'm going to
So we
call
put
it
more cheese with the topping, yeah.
Yeah.
I won't put the cheese away. So.
You could also, cut it in half or in 3 pieces so you could kind of get through the center of it and release it.
It would be nice to cut it and maybe turn it.
Well, you'll be able to release it from the pan if you cut it in half because you can get to the middle of it.
And the other thing you could do is what I did last time is I put the really wet stuff around the edge. Last time I used fresh spinach.
Uh-huh.
I put a thick layer around here because I didn't want this to keep cooking and drying out. And then I made sure I put heavily the tomatoes around here. And then made it less wet in the center.
Mm.
The other thing, which means that these had a different topping than this. And it was fun no matter what.
Good idea. Good idea.
The other thing you could do is cut it in half and make 2 different toppings for people, who like different things.
Yeah, you could have a vegan, non-vegan, or whatever.
So I'm going to start putting the topping on mine. And the only thing that I need to do is
Fred, you can't do not vegan because the crust.
No, I'm sorry, you're right, because it's got cheese and stuff. You're right.
But you meant like vegetarian or not vegetarian.
Vegetarian.
Yeah. So
All
what's
right, my
that?
place is getting too hot.
What's that
I'm starting to
cheese?
overheat.
Oh, that the feta?
Yeah. I meant to do this
My
earlier.
place is starting to overheat.
And I'm doing this
How
over
much
the
more
stove.
time?
I should probably move this to the table because it's
Okay,
very
it says 45 seconds more.
So at this point, I'm just gonna set the timer for 10 minutes. Just it theoretically needs to rest. Well, not theoretically, according to the recipe. And I'm gonna move this so I'm not standing over the hot oven.
I'd probably take a quick peek in the oven or keep your eye on yours.
For sure.
I got 30 more seconds on the timer, so I'm trying
Okay.
not. That's the
Yeah.
hard thing. I'm trying not to. I've been like, right now, I've just been like this, right next to the. There's the timer.
You just don't want to burn it, that's all.
Oh no, that's the smoke alarm. It went off at the same time. 1 second.
That's funny.
Because something that thin, boy, once it starts to scorch, it's all over.
Yeah.
It's not like you can trim off the scorch part because it won't, it's all one part.
All right, look at that.
I can see it steaming.
I put that little bit of olive oil on there, and then it turned golden on the top.
There you go.
But
Now Lula's adding her toppings.
you said you have to let it set.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go ahead. I figure it's setting as I'm doing the toppings.
So really, right now, it's just put your favorite topping on, and then put it back in the oven with put a lot of cheese on top of it.
Not necessarily a lot because you got to realize there's cheese in the.
Whole thing's made of cheese.
But how long do you tend to?
It'll get cooked until things are cooked through. You know, like maybe 10 minutes. And I lowered
Well, in
my
my case, I pre-cooked. In my case, I pre-cooked all the toppings, so
Lula's
really, I just need.
tell you she lowered her oven temperature.
I did lower it.
What'd you lower it to?
375.
Okay.
By the way, the original book said 350. So I think it's just keeping your eye on things so it doesn't.
Wow, it looks so good.
All right.
All right.
So there's a thing called this Louisville pizza. And I've heard of St. Louis style, Chicago, New York, and the Louisville, their toppings go clear to the edge. There's no doughy crust, and it is delish.
And is it circle or square?
Circular. But it's like they're known to have their toppings go to the edge. I thought, that's brilliant.
Why do you think pizzas are circle when every other pan is square?
Well, can't answer that, but do you know why the St. Louis style pizza is cut in squares? I know the history of that. In fact, my ex-boyfriend worked for Emos, who started the square slicing super thin crust pizza. When he first started out, he only had like cafeteria sheet, like square sheet pans, and so they started cutting the pizzas in square. When they got enough money to buy pizza pans, they switched to they never switched to cutting it like a pie. Okay, I'm real picky with my garlic. I make sure like every bite has just a garlic.
Yeah,
Try not to.
when I was a teenager, we did pizza. We made vegan pizzas as a fundraiser to raise money for our school trips, like to go on field trips, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we make the crust from scratch and the cheesy yeast from scratch, and yep, it was absolutely nostalgic. But all right,
Let's see.
do we want to? I mean, there's nothing else to do except assemble and put it in the oven.
Well, it's only
Unless you
going to
can
be
think of
10 more
something to
minutes.
stretch the
So
time.
if you want to just hang out for a little bit, it has about 10 minutes in the oven to warm these up. Pause. Have you
What I
been able
could
to?
do is pause the recording and then we just show coming out of the oven as if it's a magic trick, right?
Have you done
But
that before?
one time when we baked something, it was like a 4 or 5 hour process because you like do the dough, let it rise, and so we paused it multiple times. But
Was it the Jewish
usually
bread?
we just try to have it like continuous live. So really we're at the point where we could wrap it up unless you have something profound to say.
No. I
Excuse me.
love this pizza. The next morning, I've stood in front of the open refrigerator and ate it cold.
Right out of the fridge door, or did you?
I was standing with the refrigerator door open, eating it. Out of the
Cold pizza.
eating cold pizza. It
You're
was
just like, let me take. How do you how do you store it? Do you store it in a plastic container, sealed, or just open on a plate?
I put lidded and I do end up stacking it because if I have too much, my containers are this deep, so it could keep a couple of layers.
Because I tend to, when stuff is crispy, I tend to just leave it on the plate.
Oh,
Because when you seal it, it loses a lot of the crispiness.
What I do is I cut it up in slices and I wrap it in saran wrap. And I just stack them up and stack the pieces up in the refrigerator.
But still, you would have, well, I guess if most of the moisture is out of the pizza, it won't. But usually, if you have vegetables, you have a lot of moisture, and then they'll turn much less crispy, right?
Yeah. I
and
think
I'm making sure that the edge is,
the reason that pizza is round is that they roll the dough up and then when they flatten it, it's a circle and then they spin it up in the air and it needs to be symmetrical to do that.
and they sing
Right.
some
You
excellent
can't do that if it's square. Just a guess.
And probably originally they actually did cook it on well, they cooked it on, in a stone oven, right? Not on a pan.
Well, they have those big long boards that they put it on. They can put it
Oh my
into
God, the zucchini juice,
Yeah.
like all cooked together.
Yeah.
I did not put any flavors in it. It's just, well, I mean, onions and garlic and sweet peppers, but no herbs at all.
Wow.
All right, I got to show you this from the aerial
Take a
view.
picture.
Oh, take a picture. I always mean to take pictures.
Yeah, I always take pictures of food.
All right.
I forgot too.
Nice. Wow.
So I've got my red onion. I've got
Yeah.
the bell pepper. It's pretty
Nice,
colorful.
nice presentation.
Did I put the calamatas? I did not. I gotta throw. Where'd the calamatas go? Just gonna throw just a few here and there.
Wow. That's a meal and a half.
So this has a lot more topping, so it will. Oh, there's my 10 minutes. It needs to go back in. Like I said, I'm doing the calamatas a little sparingly.
No anchovies, huh?
You know, I've never done anchovies, so I will have to get them and give it a try.
Yeah, well, of course, the issue is when you open a can of anchovies, you want to use them all because you'll never use up the ones that are left. So I always put the whole can of anchovies on the pizza.
That's probably why they're so small, huh?
Yeah, the cans are all small anyway. Otherwise, they're just sitting around and they go bad.
All right.
So that is my zucchini crusted pizza. I hope you enjoy it. It really is the foundation of it is basic, and then the rest of it is whatever you want to put on top. It could
Here,
be
look, here's mine.
Oh, you already it already came out of the oven?
This is after you put it in the
A
oven
minute
with the
before the alarm.
toppings.
The reason it came out so quick is I pre-cooked everything on the top.
Yeah.
So I fried, while we were talking, I fried, what do you call it? The mushrooms, the sausage, chicken sausage, a little bit of red pepper, and then of course the sun-dried tomatoes I just
And what
cut
cheese
up out of
did
the
you
jar,
top it
and
with?
olives. Huh?
What cheese did you top it with?
I just put Parmesan.
Okay.
Let me know
Yeah,
how
just,
your tapioca flour worked.
okay.
Can you go ahead and slice it and take a bite?
Yeah, cut a chunk out of the corner or something.
I think I
Yeah.
need to let it cool. But
You have a spatula that you can. Did you do that all
I
the way
still,
around before?
Yeah, you need a spatula.
Did you do the spatula thing all the way around it before you put the topping on?
no, I didn't.
So
Okay.
it's a good investment of your time to do that. And that's the one thing
Okay.
when you can't get it off the pan, you're like, what?
Got it. Okay.
But it looks good. You just put whole are they pimento stuffed green olives?
Well, you could take a
No,
spatula and just take a
this was just
spatula
an
and just
olive
cut a
mix.
corner.
It
And then-
had like 4 different types of pitted olives
Nice.
and like a garlic in it. And then otherwise I had some sun-dried tomatoes. And the olives I put whole, but the tomatoes I got a little knife and chopped them up.
You
So,
could just take your spatula and
Yep.
just cut a little corner out and scoop it out with the spatula. See
Yeah,
what
just
it's like.
taste it with your fork. Let's see.
huh? All right, where's the spatula?
Or just use your scissors or cut a little corner off with your scissors.
There we go.
There you go. Cut it there you go. And then scoop it and see what happens. You'll see whether it's
That's
sticky
still-
or not.
It comes off really easy,
Okay.
but
Get
Not bad. No.
it's kind of soft though. It's still, what do you call it?
Well,
It's more
it'll
like a
keep
souffle.
cooking even after you take it out. If it's hot, it'll keep cooking a little
Yeah.
bit.
All right, I'm going to take a corner here and eat it. Oh, look at how golden it is underneath. I flip it over. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Nice.
That's where the flavor is.
I have to blow on it a lot. I'm afraid it's really hot. Well, because it was what,
It is, and that
400.
hot cheese will burn your mouth.
It's good.
Okay. I'm gonna eat this whole thing. I mean, it's just like it's too hot to eat now, and I just want to wait. There's no way I can eat it now. It's too hot. I have to blow on it like 5 times.
The next time you do it, since you doubled the batch, you need to double the pans. And if it's a little thinner, it might be more sturdy as opposed to being, but it still tastes good, huh? There's no doubt about it.
Plus, if you're
Oh,
going
it's
to
wonderful.
reheat it later, it'll take up even a little more moisture.
All right.
I'm excited.
We need to wrap up. We need to wrap up the show. Otherwise, you're just going to see me eating this whole thing. I mean,
Thank you for having me back, and I enjoyed
Great
it.
job,
my
Lulu.
goodness.
I love sharing my favorite eats.
But,
Yeah, I'm gonna. Is the recipe in the chat?
Mhm.
Oh, I gotta
Yes.
copy it out of there.
Now the steps
I mean,
as far
essentially, it's just grated zucchini,
Yeah, I can figure it
eggs,
out, but
and cheese.
I'm just gonna
But,
just copy it out of
and your
here.
favorite,
Note.
favorite. All right, Lulu. Final words.
thank you and enjoy.
All right, here we go.
I'm gonna call it Lulu.